Hey everybody, this is Brian, and this is the third part of my commentary about the current situation with football in LA, and I thought I'd do the thing about the Raiders Day this evening. This is, basically going to be how I'm going to explain to everybody about the Raiders and how they pretty much screwed everything over for LA. In terms of their leaving. As we mentioned in the previous commentaries, the Raiders moved out here in 1982, and things seemed pretty good. They were drawing good crowds at the Coliseum. We don't know, they weren't selling out because it's hard to sell that mausoleum unless you're USC. And in 1983 season, they made us very happy here when they won Super Bowl 18, and basically murdered the Washington Redskins. I shouldn't use that word, but that's for a different commentary. And after that, things seemed really great. You had the Raiders pretty much could write their own tickets out here, and people were crying more to the Raiders side than the Rams because, let's face it, the Raiders outlaw image fit a certain fan base out here. Unfortunately, as time went on, you may have seen a darker side to the Raiders. First off, they hired, after the retirements of Tom Flores and Jim Plunkett, things started really kind of going downhill for them. They hired Mike Shanahan as Flores' replacement, but Old Man Davis, one time was a football genius, but after that he pretty much crapped the bed when he did try to interfere. Shanahan wanted to go to the West Coast offense, and Davis wanted to go to throw the ball deep all the time offense. And then there came the incident that really kind of made people scratch their heads, and that was when he ordered the benching of Marcus Allen, who was probably the most popular player on the team. Nobody knows why it was done, but I kind of have my feelings that maybe Davis was just didn't believe in having one major superstar on the team, and he wanted to make an example of Allen. And after that, the Raiders records, they were having very mediocre seasons, even after drafting. Especially when they were going to a carousel of quarterbacks. Jay Schrader was a lousy quarterback. He couldn't hold a job in Washington. Then, of course, came the bringing of Tom Marinovich, or as I like to call him, Tom Marijuanovich, because poor dude. He basically was turned into the robo quarterback, the robo kid. And then, of course, as I mentioned in my previous commentaries, the Raiders had this very bad love-hate relationship with the Coliseum. The Raiders wanted to leave the Coliseum and move to different stadiums. Of course, we all know about the Irwindale fiasco, where Al Davis got a bunch of money to move to what essentially was an abandoned gravel quarry, and of course that didn't work. And then of course we had the news back in 1994, as I mentioned. R.D. Hubbard, who was the chairman at Hollywood Park, wanted to build a new football stadium in Hollywood Park. In fact, he wanted to build a stadium between Hollywood Park and the Forum, and everything pointed that the Raiders were going to move to Hollywood Park, and then share it with UCLA, who were having their own problems with the Rose Bowl, but the UCLA sorted those out. Unfortunately, Davis, for some reasons, didn't want to go to, after making all the agreements, Al Davis changed his mind and all of a sudden decided to go to, back to Oakland. Well, I'm going to tell you why the old cadre decided to go back to Oakland. It seemed like, Mr. Davis didn't pay his taxes. And just a few months before and a few months after what was supposed to be the signing of the agreement, the IRS is going to audit him, and quite possibly he was going to owe a lot of money. He owed a lot of money to Uncle Sam. In fact, if he didn't pay the IRS, one of his two options were sell his interest in the Raiders. Of course, he's managing general partner that meant sell out the majority, all the shares he owned, or going to jail. And since the money from Inglewood was not going to come in, soon enough for Davis, he took the immediate money from Oakland, moved the team back up there where they've been, they only had one great season. They went to the Super Bowl, and of course they lost that one to John Gruden and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, serving right for firing Gruden. But ever since then, playing at the Oakland Coliseum, which is a decrepit building, pretty much serves the Raiders right, because the toilets don't work. You're basically playing a dump, and that serves the Al Davis right. And of course, out came the news that the Raiders were going to try and get in a joint venture with the Chargers to move to Carson, which of course was one of the sites discussed. Another site that was discussed years ago for a stadium. But with the recent vote in Inglewood, the plans for that have fallen through. The plans for it look like they might be getting to fall through. So, and also a little postscript. If the plan statement Inglewood had gone through when it was supposed to in 1995, it affected the Lakers as well. The Lakers and the Kings as well, because the original plan was for the building of the new stadium. And with the building of the new stadium, there was going to be there were also plans to tear down the Forum and build a new stadium right next door. New arena right next door for the Lakers and the Kings. Unfortunately, when the Raiders moved out, those plans fell through, and that was it. That was the end of those dreams. So, that wound up being got sent to downtown LA, because of course the Lakers and the Kings moved to downtown LA, built Staples Center, and of course around that whole area was the LA Live entertainment complex with the Nokia Theater, LA Live, and all the restaurants and other entertainment venues they got around there. So, and of course the Downtown Renaissance. So, if the Raiders do think about moving out here again, I'd say, fat chance, fellas, we don't want you down here. you've screwed up Inglewood, and I happen to live about 5 blocks away from Inglewood. So anyway, that's my commentary about the Raiders here, and that's the end of my commentaries about the prospects of football here in LA. So thank you for the bye.